Hello everyone, it's Dave from JD CycleWorks. Today we have something really cool to show you. 23.5 CVO 121 VVT bike. This bike has an impact on us because we are running Impact ECM. That might be a good picture. Super cool stuff. Working really good. Right now you can see this is 100% stock engine, exhaust system, Chromeworks, aggressor head pipe, Chromeworks, mufflers, louvered baffle, Scream Eagle wedge air cleaner. It rolled in at 119.2, 103 horsepower. The only thing we change is ECM and recalibrating it. 137.3 torque, 128.5 horsepower, SAE. This is pretty cool, guys. I figured you'd be really excited to see this finally coming about. There's a lot of other systems coming available for these newer bikes, which is going to be pretty exciting to see what they really turn out. Now, from talking to some other folks, these numbers are kind of in the same range most people are getting in SAE on a dyno jet machine. This bike is running pump gas, nothing special, no adders at all. That is how it is. So I hope you enjoy the video. And there's a software there, pretty cool. And like and subscribe. We'll show you more stuff as it comes about. Have a great day. Hi, Ben.
Hey, how's it going?
I got a face to the name.
Yeah,
Is your day as exciting as mine?
it's always exciting.
This is exciting.
Yeah, it is.
I guess what we want to do is I have some questions for you to see how you feel about it. And the first thing is, what is your vision for this ECM? Want to let the folks know what your thoughts are, what the whole process is going?
Yeah, absolutely. So my vision for this ECM is eventually to support older models as well. Eventually, we want to support the twin cam models as well, but right now we are working on the 21 to 23s, and after that, the slightly earlier M8s. My vision is to sell a standalone ECM where somebody has like all the flexibility they need. You know, like they can, if they want to run flex fuel, they can do it. If they want to spray nitrous, they can do it. You know, and they don't have to go out and buy another module for, you know, a quick shifter. They don't have to buy another module for an air shifter. All they would need is the solenoid and the, you know, the ram on the shifter.
Right.
So, you know, if you think max ECU, but plug and play. So
Okay.
it has all the flexibility of a modern universal standalone just for the Harley models.
Okay. Now, so far, you have them for 23.5 and 24 Harley Davidsons, the touring bikes. But
Correct.
you're in development for the, I would say, the traction control version 21 and later M8s.
Correct.
And that one,
Correct.
how close is that development before its release date, approximately?
We're very, very close. I mean, it shares a lot of similar hardware with the 24 models, similar
Okay.
connector. It's just a matter of rewriting bits and pieces of the script and basically changing firmware. So in theory, a dealer has, you know, one of our 24 units. We could theoretically phone in and just, you know, update the firmware on the chips, and they could use it on an earlier model, which I think that added flexibility is also pretty beneficial.
So that's interesting. So it's the same plug for the ECM for
Correct.
23 and 24, which doesn't surprise me. It's just a different manufacturer plug, isn't it? It seems more flimsy than the earlier ones.
It could also be the fact that, so a lot of these manufacturers have, you know, injection molding companies overseas that create these connectors for them. So they may have switched to a different factory, so to speak.
Okay. So that's interesting.
Yeah, like a newer mold.
Okay. So it might just be me.
Yeah.
It might just be me. But so that's great. Because I have been talking to some folks, and one of the more exciting things you talked about was the flex fuel, so people can have a system where they can
run E85, then go back to pump gas, and they'll self-calibrate for it. Now, are you going to
Right.
design and build a plug-and-play kit for the fuel supply and all that to test all that, so we can take it out of the box and plug it in, or we have to hardwire it in and set up all the inputs and outputs on that?
So yes, we are. We're actually designing not only the line kit with the sensor that mounts on the factory frame and connects to the tank the quick disconnect on a tank.
Okay.
We will also have as I'm sure you've seen, the auxiliary plug on the ECM. We have a spare 12-pin
Yes.
auxiliary plug
Mhm.
for sensors. We will also be sending or selling basically a patch harness where it comes with the mating connector for that. You plug it in, and then the other end plugs into the flex fuel sensor, and then it's a matter of following some instructions and updating the calibration of the software
Okay.
stack.
And that'll actually be very beneficial for folks that are, let's say they're racing in this part of the country and they're going to a different part where fuels are different. It can actually help things adjusting there too.
Correct. And
Yes.
I mean, I think, in my opinion, it'll be most beneficial for the older generation of M8s. I mean, these things run pretty cool, the new bikes, the center cooled bikes,
Yep.
but with the oil cooled bikes, I mean, 20 degrees, especially on the bigger builds, the 143s,
Yep.
it'll be 20, 30 degrees. That's not between your legs, you know?
Well, and it's honest. It's funny you say that, because while working with this ECM on this 2023 and a half VVT CVO, I noticed that bike was exceptionally cool. And it took a long time to get it warmed up. Where I'm
Yep.
used to the earlier model M8, okay, I can build heat really quick. I can get to my operating temperature much faster. So that's an interesting point you brought up. And I guess some of that has to do with the design of it, is what you're saying.
A little bit, yes. It also has the factory calibration is usually leaner and for EPA reasons.
Mm-hmm.
And it has a big part to do with our water pump and fan control strategy, basically just when we're enabling the water pump compared to stock, when we're disabling the fan, enabling the fan.
Okay.
So that's also a part of it. I figured, a cooler engine will always make more power than a hotter engine.
Right. That's true. Are you also going to be having these as standalone ECM? Let's say a guy wants to get an M8 from a wrecked bike and put into like a custom chopper or some kind of custom. Are you going to have something available there where you can buy this and connect it into like a harness available and put in whatever he wants?
Yes, so that has been tossed around and discussed in the shop. We want to call it our race unit, essentially, where
Yes.
it'll have a little more flexibility for somebody that doesn't care, doesn't
Right.
have a screen on the dash, doesn't care if it works, doesn't care for ABS, because they're going to remove all of that stuff anyway.
Right.
So that's been in the talks right now. Kind of like our primary focus is just making sure that the 23 and a half and 24 model ECU is the best that's available on the market.
Right.
Everything works flawlessly. Integration's as easy as plugging in, firing it up, putting injector size, and you're good to go. We're about 95% of the way there, hoping to be done here within the next month or so.
Yeah, and I think that's important to everyone to know that everything that's coming on the market with these new bikes, it is under development, so things will grow as time grows with what we're doing here. But I was talking to some other folks, and there's a lot of people doing ported cylinder heads for these and all kinds of things. Everything's coming out for these newer engines. So this next year is going to be an explosion of new stuff for them, which is exciting.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting. I mean, I know there's a few different manufacturers out there also testing cams for the VVT bikes, which based on the numbers I saw from one guy is going to be pretty interesting to see, to say the least. I mean,
right. We have to find them. We'll have to do our testing and see all that. And hopefully that people post honest results versus other ones. So it helps the community see, okay, this is really what I'm getting, not something that's going to be more biased towards their product. But that's all part of the world we live in.
Yeah. Marketing and, something I know too also.
Yeah. Oh yeah. But very exciting. Like I said, this thing worked very good for me. I actually showed a little clip of the data screen for people to see. Hope that's okay with you.
Oh, absolutely.
It was a lot of fun. I expect to be doing more of these, especially after people see this.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a little bit of a learning experience. I mean, it's very similar to Power Vision, but like we discussed, it's the axes are reversed. So I'm sure that was the most difficult learning experience or learning curve, I should say.
Not really. I mean, I've looked at some car stuff in the backwards and that stuff. I mean, in the past, and that stuff is a little inside out. So it just a matter of your brain getting wrapped around. I think that's really a big deal. You know, I wouldn't make that a game changer at all.
Yeah,
But
and
as
I
far
mean,
as the software working and the data, it was very seamless in how it functioned. Not too many hiccups, not a lot of weird things you have to do to make things happen, which was very good. So very user friendly.
yeah, and thankfully you haven't had to see the diagnostics portion of
Yep.
our software. I mean, we log everything in our
Right.
software. Like anything you can imagine, we're logging. We can literally log engine phase,
Oh wow.
cam sensor position in relation to engine phase, what the magic number, as we call it, should be. You know,
Hmm.
where it should sync up, everything.
Wow.
So it just gives us more in-depth diagnostics ability. So if somebody has any issue, you know, they can send me a log in their tune file, and typically, you know, pretty quickly I can diagnose what the issue is just based on the data.
Okay, that's very. Now, does this save and record as we're using this to be pulled up at any time, or do we have to log in and set to record?
You can do it either way. When the laptop is not hooked up to it, it's not hooked up via USB. It does log to our onboard memory, and then you can connect via, you know, similar to how you would plug in a flash drive. You can plug in the cable into the ECM, pull the
Hmm.
main fuse, and then plug the USB into your laptop, and you can access all the logs that are stored on the onboard logger.
Okay, so that's the trick: is you got to pull the main fuse on the bike when you do that.
Correct. Just because the battery is giving the ECM constant 12 volt at certain points. So
Oh,
by
okay.
disconnecting that constant 12 volt, you're essentially letting us use the 5 volt from the laptop to read the.
Okay. Okay, that's just a lot safer than having it lose voltage and shut it down on you.
Yeah, essentially.
That makes a lot of sense. Very cool. Anything else you want to talk about with this?
You can lead the way. I'm not the greatest at these public speaking, you know, not
That's all right.
gonna lie. I taught two software engineers how to ride Harleys over the weekend, so that was interesting. They looked so out of place on these bikes. It was great, but
That
I'm
is
like,
great.
the only way you're going to be able to fully understand what we're asking and what the community's asking from you is if you get on these things, you know, and see what it's all about, you know.
Right.
They're car people, they're motorsports people.
Hmm.
They weren't necessarily bike people.
So
So I'm like, all right, let's get you on them and let's look.
that's awesome. So these engineers, they have prior motorcycle experience, correct?
Yes, they do
Okay.
have prior motorcycle experience. They do come from, you know, sport bikes, but
Oh, okay. So they weren't
you
used to
know,
this big tractor.
yeah, it was definitely different from that for them.
That's great. But it's good you're putting forth the effort of testing and development and trying to prove everything. And I think that's very important to try and make this product work.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. We have, you know, we test almost every unit that goes out the door. I mean, I'd say 99.9% units get tested. They get put on a bike that's on the dyno, you know, run through the gears,
Hmm.
check that everything functions as it should. We support our product, you know, 100%. So
Right.
anybody has any issues, we're there. We answer the phone, you know, whether it
Right.
doesn't matter if it's a Sunday at 6 p.m. or, you know, Monday
Yeah.
morning.
And that's extremely helpful, especially when you were working with me through this whole process. You were there. I mean, it's a brand new
Yeah.
thing for me to see. I was like, man, the phone picked up, you helped answer questions for me, and that was much better. If you try to call a dyno jet, good luck. It's not going to happen. You're going to get
Which,
someone that's going to turn on there and blow your computer up. It's happened to me because
yeah,
a lot of the people who work in there are clueless, and it's been a disaster over the years a lot of times. But it's very refreshing to have somebody like you pick up the phone and help me and help us. Now when you get super swamped, I don't know how you're going to keep up with that. I mean, that's going to
it's
be
on my mind.
interesting, but cross that bridge when you get there, right?
Well, and a part of that is constantly as I'm going through, you know, and thankfully my dealers that have supported me from the beginning, you know, have been incredibly helpful in providing feedback and coming to me with any questions, no matter how small.
Hmm.
Because even if it's a small question, you know, that's something that a one-page document could potentially answer. And it's, you know, I'm a firm believer that good documentation definitely helps. So if you have a diagnostics flowchart, hey, it's doing this, try
Hmm.
this. If this doesn't work, then do this. You know, will also help alleviate. And I mean, when we're super swamped, I hope we're super swamped. You know, we'll hire people and we'll train them. We'll spend the time to train them. We'll put them on the
Yeah.
dyno, whatever it takes.
Yeah, and that is helpful. I mean, having supportive documents, ways that can help us figure things out without bugging you will be great. There's some other manufacturers I work with. They are absolutely incredible in how they help me over the years. And some other ones, well, they leave much to be desired. But there's a few people that have been a blessing for me to work with over the years with all this stuff I've been doing. I'll be forever grateful with them. And your help is incredible too with this. And I think that's just a good lead into this product being a success. So we'll see how it goes.
And every successful product I've been a part of, that's kind of been the thing is, being in the community and helping out dealers and helping out just normal people, that need having a good community is essential to success, in my opinion.
It's a lot of fun. And that was my whole reason for really starting this channel, honestly, is to show people what I see, whether people agree or disagree. There's a lot of things that go on that I don't agree with in this industry. I like trying to show people exactly what I see, what this does. And sometimes it's right. Sometimes people will question and show things different, which is fine.
Right.
But that's kind of what my whole channel is about, is just showing the world honest answers of what's going on.
And I feel like this industry needs more of that. Like, it doesn't matter if it's cars, motorcycles, there's always the biased opinion, we need very good, unbiased testing with the scientific approach, creating a hypothesis, and then validating it or disproving it. Yeah, I think that's crucial too.
Yeah, I completely agree. It's been so many years of, since I've been doing this, of things being fudged and changed, and how people draw things up and show things. It's misleading. And unfortunately, the people in the armchair watching this, they have no idea. They're relying on this information as being accurate, and they're being misinformed, so it's helpful for the guy who's learning this. And there's a lot of really super smart people who watch this stuff, and incredibly brilliant people in this industry like you and other people that develop this stuff.
Well, yeah.
And that's it's good to show it, so.
Yeah. And I mean, as I'm sure especially depending on the type of dyno you have, like I have to send it to you. There's a good video from Sound Performance, a local import shop here. They made a Nissan, like a 92 Nissan Sentra, read like 500 horse on their dyno. It's just by manipulating the values, like it's so easy to especially when you're the first, it's so easy to put a number out there that's like shock value. And that I just don't think that's correct, because now you're setting yourself up for failure.
It is true. Yep, and that happens a lot too. I've heard rumors of people putting air conditioners up against throttle bodies and blowers and spraying nitrous in front of them, and it's just crazy things. Really good. And my answer to that is why? Be honest. Because when that person buys your product and goes somewhere else, you're getting a phone call saying, "Hey, how come it's not making 20 horsepower more like you showed me?"
Right. Exactly.
And it's not fair. The more accurate you can be, the less phone calls of people saying, "Well, you lied to me," you're going to get. Or that guy, or they're going to be calling that shop who's working very hard, to be honest, saying, "Hey, you're doing a bad job. You're doing it wrong. This isn't working because you didn't do what this guy showed me." So it's important that we all work together as a unit in this industry. Like you said, all industries to try and be truthful, because everybody rises to the top with that a lot better.
Right. I mean, there's more than enough, because like I said, and, people are always trying to compare products, like there's a market for everybody. There's a market for, Power Vision when they do come out. And I'm a firm believer in competition, because it makes everybody better, and it just seems like sometimes even in cars, like, people are afraid of competition, but that's what this country was built on.
Absolutely.
It's like everybody's trying to be better.
Yeah. And if we weren't competitive, we'd still be driving Model A's around.
Right. I mean, yeah.
The first car race happened when the second car was built.
Yep. And
that's when development started. And that's what helps develop this whole, it's people like you and I, and this people developing cams and engines and all that, they've driven the car industry where it is today, because of all the development of performance and power and efficiency. And that's the one thing that I keep in mind, and I think the government kind of forgets about, is that people like us help the manufacturers with new ideas, new concepts, things that work better.
100%.
So you got to let people have this freedom of thought to do this stuff. It's critical. Plus, it keeps us working and thinking.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's, somebody wakes up one morning, has a crazy idea, and I'm like, why don't we have an ECU that can do this? And then next thing you know, you're a couple of years down the rabbit hole, and here we are.
There you go. Very exciting. Well, very good, Ben. Thank you very much for this meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. All right. Well, have a great day. I'll be talking to you very soon.
Thank you. You as well.
All right. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.